The agency called it St. Jude's Reach. The old sailors just called it the Tooth, a jagged shard of black rock stabbed from the sea, miles from any shipping lane, a place where the ocean's gray melancholy could seep into a man's bones. I was to be its new keeper. The man I replaced, Elias Thorne, had left abruptly a psychotic break, the official report stated. His duties and his solitude were now mine. The first week was a battle against the crushing loneliness and the ceaseless roaring hymn of the waves. It was during a routine cleaning that I found it, Thorne's personal logbook, wedged beneath a loose floorboard in the sleeping quarters. It felt less like a discovery and more like a confession, waiting to be heard. His early entries were mundane, weather observations, maintenance notes, the lonely musings of a man at the edge of the world. But then, the tone began to shift. It started with a single, underlined entry, "Saw the light again." He wasn't referring to the lighthouse's beam. He described a lurid, phosphorescent green glow that would pulse from the abyssal depths on moonless nights. An unhealthy light, he called it, a color from a sickened dream. His obsession grew, the logbook filled with frantic sketches of the phenomenon. Soon, he wrote of the sounds. He claimed the crashing of the waves was no longer random, that within the chaos, he could discern malicious, intelligent melodies. He wrote of seeing things during the violent autumn squalls, slick, elongated shapes moving on the lower rocks, just at the edge of the lantern's sweep, drawn by the green glow from below. His final entries were nearly illegible, the scrawls of a man wrestling with his own sanity. "They climb higher each storm," he wrote. "The light calls them. It is their shepherd. I hear them scratching at the foundation. They sing my name in the surf." I closed the book, a tremor in my hands. It was a fascinating, chilling portrait of a mind unraveling, a cautionary tale. I dismissed it as the product of profound isolation and went to the lantern room to begin my nightly watch. The sea was a calm, fathomless black under a starless sky, and as I stared into that infinite void, I saw it, faint at first, then undeniable, a slow, sickening pulse of green light, blooming in the crushing darkness of the deep. It beat once, then twice, before vanishing as if it had never been there at all. In that moment, Thorne's madness became my reality. I tried to rationalize what I saw, a deep-sea organism, a sunken wreck, leaking chemicals. But the excuses felt thin, pathetic lies against the profound, ancient wrongness of that light. Sleep offered no escape. Thorne's words haunted my waking and sleeping mind. I began to hear the patterns in the waves he described. Complex, unnerving phrases that seemed to slither just beneath the roar. Then the storm came. Not a normal squall, but a swirling, unnatural tempest that seemed to squat directly over the Tooth. The wind shrieked like a living thing, and the sea rose, hammering the stone tower with what felt like a sentient rage. The lighthouse, which had stood for a century, groaned as if its very bones were breaking. At the storm's zenith, pinned in the lantern room by the sheer fury of it all, I saw the green light return. It was no longer a faint pulse. It was a constant, ghastly beacon, illuminating the churning, monstrous waves from below. And in its foul glare, I saw them, the shapes. Thorne hadn't been mad. They were not seals. They were tall and stooped, with glistening, tar-black skin, moving with a boneless fluidity as they climbed the wave-battered rocks. Their limbs were too long, their forms seeming to writhe and reform in the hellish light as they ascended. Inexorably, towards me, I fled down the spiral stairs, my breath catching in sobs of pure terror, and through the heavy bolt on the thick iron door at the tower's base. I could hear them outside now, a wet, scraping sound against the stone. A chorus of guttural clicks and whistles echoed through the storm. I scrambled for Thorne's logbook, finding the last empty page, my hand shaking as I uncapped my own pen. I understand now. The logbook is not a diary. It is a testament, passed from one keeper to the next. A tremendous, echoing crack sounded from the door as the iron began to buckle. I write this now in the final moments. The light is a signal, not for ships, but for them. The storm is their shield. Thorn didn't go mad. He simply saw the truth, a truth that now claws at my door. The sea has come to claim its own.